Hi, I'm Mama B.
And I'm Mama Juju.
And we are
Music Mamas on the Move podcast.
The show where we spotlight the stories behind the music and those that help shape the journey. Today's episode is extra special because we're going to take you back to where it all began.
Y'all already know our very first guest, the incredibly talented guitarist, John Will James Jr. He wrote and performed our theme song, but today we're talking to a real live music mama, and that's his mama, Christy James. So Christy is not only the mother of a rock star, and in our mind, he's already been there for a while. She's a spa and hair salon manager here locally. Yes. So she has a full-time job. She is the creative force behind her outfits. I'm so jealous. Oh. Whenever you see Christy, you're going to see something unique. She's a wonderful fashion designer as well. But she's also a great friend and supporter of the podcast. And so we wanted her on the show the first time, but she wanted Will to be on. And what a blessing that was for us. But what made you say yes to us this time?
Persistence.
We kept asking till you said yes.
You did. I don't think I'm anywhere near as interesting as my son. So I really appreciate y'all giving me this opportunity. He's our heart, and I'm happy to be here to represent him.
Well, we appreciate that.
Well, we want to bring you back in time, take us on a little journey so that we get to know more about you.
Okay.
So we know you grew up in a big family.
I did.
Right?
Youngest of 6.
Okay. And as missionaries in Australia.
Right.
Can you tell us how that helped create your musical roots?
Oh, okay. So my parents actually met over Swan Lake, Chikoski. My dad was in the hospital, Greenville Hospital. He had come back from the mission field, was very sick, and my mom was his nurse. He had a little record player in the hospital room that his mom had brought for him, and he was playing Swan Lake. So she started a conversation with him. He fell in love with her. She was engaged to a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Whoops.
He kind of broke that up. But anyway, many years later, my brothers and sisters, of course, were all born. They were in different mission fields before I came along. So I grew up predominantly in Australia. My parents, we had a lot of records were a big deal for us. And my parents played a lot of classical more than anything. My dad loved classical music. I loved Peer Gynt, Peter and the Wolf, all of those things and then they would play Mantovani. My mom loved Mantovani. Later years, she was really high on, I don't know if any of y'all know Dino. He was an incredible piano player. Right. That played Christian music, but he just played music. There was no singing in that. But I really grew up in that kind of home with that kind of musical influence. And then my brothers and sisters, my sister Star was a really talented acoustic guitar player.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we had guitars. My parents always had a piano if we could have one. We lived in places we couldn't sometimes. I had zero talent in that regard. But I remember my first secular song would have been the Beatles. It was the Oobity Oobada.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And my sister would play it. So she would go out. We had a little Volkswagen Beetle. And she would go out in the yard. It was so hot. We lived in Australia, no air conditioning. And she would play her acoustic in the car because she loved all the pop and rock that was coming out. And my parents really didn't approve of that.
Right.
So I would sit with her. I was 3 and 4 and 5, and I remember just sweating. But I would just sit there in the car and listen to her. But that was early on what I would have listened to.
And that's funny because I was telling Pete about your family and your sisters and how much you look like Star. You were, of course, the youngest of the girls.
That's kind of you.
She was gorgeous. When I saw you for the first time in many, many years when we reconnected, I was just blown away about how much you looked like her. So, very sweet person. Yes, she is.
Yeah, very sweet.
Yep. So that was pretty much, you discovered mainstream through her because we grew up in the same type of schooling and education,
Right.
where secular music, I mean, I'll just put it like it is. You're going straight to hell for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
The irony of that, my father was very much about grace. So I didn't really run into a lot of that real strong legalism. We had very strict rules, but our rules were really based on just kind of him drawing a line in the sand and saying, let's not make it a gray area. Let's just do this or that. We lived in areas where you could offend people, you know, if you did different things. So we just kind of did go down that straight line. But my dad was never, that was not a conviction. You know, we wouldn't have died on that hill. We wouldn't have been a martyr for that you cannot listen to secular music or rock and roll.
Well, and, you know, in my household growing up, it was the same. You know, at school, you followed the school rules. At home, you could play your music, but if there was any profanity in it, then that record had to go. And so that was my Steve Miller Band album where he talked about funky shit going down in the city. And my dad was like, that has to leave this house. So, yeah. So, but you grew up totally different with that because you listened to all kind of music.
I did listen to all kinds of music. And I remember, speaking of little, you know, left to center, I remember knowing the whole soundtrack for Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know what the Rocky Horror Picture Show was. I just knew there were certain catchy songs that's like, oh, that's good. That's good. It's got a good beat. You know, we can dance to that. This is fun. And then it was like, oh, this is a soundtrack. Okay, well, so I didn't see that for years. But, you know, but no, we didn't really, there were no restrictions as far as, and during that time, I don't really even remember really any curse words as far as to say.
No, that was so unusual. Like most music prior to 1978 had very little profanity.
Right.
Very little. So I could get away with it. Yeah, I could
Yeah,
get away with more of that.
But everything is just insinuated.
Yes.
Right? It's not like it's just blatantly out there.
Exactly.
It's just these, innuendos, and when you're young, you don't pick up on that. As an adult, you know, you pick up on it. But as a kid, I didn't pick up on that stuff.
I didn't pick up on some of it until I was married. And I was like, wow, okay. I didn't even think of that. You know, Brila. She introduced me to a lot. She was a big Christopher Cross fan, but the first record she brought, and we would buy records in 45s and we would hide them because, you know. But she brought Whitney Houston, her debut album. And I remember the back of that cover, I would look at her, you know, because she was in the bathing suit and everything, and I would be like, I want to look like that. But we would hide everything, even though we wouldn't have been punished severely.
Right.
But we just kind of had our whole record collection that we would kind of just keep on the down low. And when our parents would leave, we would throw it on there and go. So.
All right. So then you came back from Australia.
Yes.
Around what period was that? So we can get a good chronological time period going.
We came back once, and I spent 2 years, just 3 houses down the road here, in number 4 Old Farm Lane. They still have the 4 on there. My dad put that 4 up, and they've kept it painted the same. But we lived there and went to school for a couple of years, about 1.5 years. That's how our family, of course, knows each other. But then we moved to Canada. I think I was around getting close to 11 at that time. So, yeah, and that was very cold. And went from Australia to Canada.
Oh,
Yeah. Like, I just want to go back to the States. Yeah. Let's just go back to South Carolina. Let's just stay there a minute.
Yeah, just kind of at least, yeah.
And then you got married and started a family, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Which was really unintentional. I had so many siblings. I didn't grow up thinking, I want to have a big family and a bunch of kids. I really wanted to go to school and kind of be a career woman. Was my dreams. But God gave us our beautiful daughter, and that was just love at first sight. She was my first love. Just that unconditional love.
Right.
So, and from that point on, being a mom, I mean, there's nothing I'd rather be. If that's my purpose here, then that is good enough for me.
Right.
So,
Well, we know that you lost Tori a few years ago, and I've known that you've always never had a problem with talking about her. And that when people remember her, it's special for you, because she was a big influence on Will, and your family had to navigate some really tough times for that. So, I think about different situations, and in your situation, what music did you listen to during that time period? Like, was there something that you just listened to that you felt like you connected with her after we lost her?
Tori, I would say, and I'm going to say that God, I know unequivocally, gave Will that gift of music because he took her out of his earthly life.
Right.
Music was everything to her, and she had zero talent to play it.
Right.
But she was, she started out when she was really young, just with all of the Justin Bieber and all that, and went on to, she loved everything. She was a huge Usher fan. Kesha, I know, was huge in that time.
I get to see her at
The
Bonnaroo this
Pussycat
year, so
Dolls.
maybe I'll go see Kesha in honor of Tori.
Exactly.
I think that's awesome.
That was her to a T. She didn't really ever get into the grunge or the sadder type stuff. She loved something that had just a tremendous beat and uplifting. But that being said, I probably continued on. She has so many CDs. I would have played those a lot in the car. If there was one song that I would say I knew before Tori, but that would have been hugely a comfort to me, it was Home Free by Wayne Watson. And I don't know if y'all have ever heard that.
Is that out of Nashville?
But it's a lot about God's will's not ours. Oh. But this life is over like that. It's our eternity is what we're really striving for. And so that would have been something that I would have listened to a ton. I know I did, that spoke to me in that regard.
Isn't it funny how that music finds you in that moment?
Yes.
I think, and I just, that just was a thought that went through my head, is that in times that no matter what you're going through, the right music finds you.
It does.
So that's a cool thing. Thank you
John
for sharing
Baptiste. I'm going to pipe in on that. John Baptiste won Album of the Year, and he said exactly those words.
What?
Yeah. He got up there and thanked.
I'm glad we recorded that.
Right, and thanked everybody for, right? But he said, I'm going to say, I don't think there's any best artist, best musician, best dancer, best actor. I think we're all creative and special in our own way, but we create with a purpose. And that purpose is it finds you when you need it. And that's just exactly what you just said, which is crazy because I just heard that from John Baptiste, who's crazy amazing. And
Yes, he is.
Yeah, there you just said it.
Trending.
You are trending. Look at you trending, Mama Juju.
Well, y'all here to learn today.
We are. Absolutely. And we know Will. We talked about that in our first episode.
Yes.
About learning from the guitar hero.
He did.
Right?
Tori, like I said, she was always with him. So much of her is in him.
Right.
They did a lot of the dance
Just Dance.
pad
or
too.
whatever.
Yeah,
Was it,
Yeah.
is it the Wii?
Yeah,
That's the Wii.
Okay.
So they did a lot of that, and the Guitar Hero. He was more the Guitar Hero than she was, and he actually did the drum one too.
Okay.
I remember that was like relentless. You heard that. We actually bought him a drum kit before we bought him guitars. He had Tori's acoustic guitar, but drumming is right there with his guitar. But yeah, he did love that, and he just felt a pull towards music never had he felt that before God took her to heaven. We were just really didn't know what to do. We were like, wow, because he had always grown up with this little kind of engineering brain. And even all through high school, he wanted to go in aerospace engineering. That was his, I'm going to do that. And he got the grades and did the stuff that took him that he needed to do that. But the music just grew and grew and grew.
Right. Well, you know, and we've talked about this in the first episode we had with you guys, and that was that he passed on a scholarship to Clemson to play baseball.
Well, actually, no, he gave up baseball his junior year of high school when he finished his junior year. And this is where I love my husband, his dad. He loves baseball. He loves Clemson. He has been so devout in if Will feels called or says this is not where I go, he just, okay, let's redirect. But, Will played baseball. And then the end of his junior year, he just said, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I'm not going to go play pro. I'm not going to I want to kind of give that up. And so he did. So his senior year, he didn't play. But he got that scholarship through his academics.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah.
And
So,
Well, and he could have walked on, if he'd have wanted to, even if it wasn't a baseball scholarship, he could have walked on at Clemson and made their team. I'm a Gamecock fan. I would have much rather not have done that and then played us. So I'm grateful.
yeah.
it was a good part of his life for sure.
All right. So the world has watched Will develop into an amazing musician. But as a mom, what has that been like for you to watch this magical transformation to where he is today?
Musically, his father can speak to this so much better than me because John has just such an ear and he knows music. So he'll come down and tell me things. He's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe, and I don't really get that. I just like what I hear. If it appeals to me, I like it. I have just loved him every step of the way because he has not changed 1 ounce. Will is going to show up and he's going to set everything up. He's going to carry everything in. Even if there's people there to help or to do it for him, he's going to do it. He's going to get in there and work with everyone. And he's humble and he never, ever has said, I'm better than this person.
Right.
And you talk about music and diversity. Will is just going to tell you every time they're just different. Their style is different, or they're doing this different, and
I've never heard him criticize another artist, or their craft.
No,
it's different from what he would be,
and that carries into the home because publicly you can be a lot different than you are at home. I can be, and he just gives so much grace, and he gives grace to people that don't support him. I've seen people diss him on social media and stuff, and he'll just kind of chuckle and he'll be like, well, that's okay.
But that's that having that kind of confidence that it doesn't matter. You're focused on and like you said, he got a lot of that, like you would say, from your dad, that grace.
Yeah.
Right.
So having that throughout his life, being shown grace is something that he's good at.
Yes.
And I love that.
He is.
Yeah.
And I have to rein it in because I don't want to embarrass him. I'm just kidding.
All right.
And so, as a teacher, obviously he's like a dream student if you were to have him in your classroom. But also you're a dream parent as a teacher looking at you as parents, what advice would you give to other parents when they see their child have, a spark or interest in any type of talent, an art or music?
For starters, I'm so flawed and so human. And I've always let my kids see my flaws. I didn't go to school to be a parent. I didn't have experience when I had them.
None of us, right?
So, in some sense, you grow up with your children and you learn and you live and all of that. Tori and our will were hard. I know that some people are born into this world and they fight themselves a lot. And so in that, I just can't take credit for that. I just never had to fight Will to study or to work hard. He kind of had this little built-in, little man syndrome.
Well, I think we the three of us have been blessed with what I would consider to be easy children.
Right.
Our kids, I mean, we were just the real deal with them. Like you said, no matter if you're flawed or not, show that to your kids.
Right.
And then be able to be accountable and responsible for behavior. Yeah. And if you can do that for your kids, I think that's huge, especially transitioning into the classroom.
Right. Well, and, I try to tell my students there's no wrong answer, right? So when I ask a question, don't be afraid to say what you're thinking, because I'm not going to criticize you for whatever it is that you're thinking. I want it to be, obviously I teach orchestra, but I also teach music appreciation, and I really try to hone into those kids that it's what you feel. So that makes there being no wrong, because it's about you.
Right.
Not about everybody else.
It is. And that's unconditional love. And I know I'm not going to take a lot of time talking about it, but
No, you're fine. You take your time.
That as parents, you just, whatever comes, you just love them unconditionally.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that you don't guide. If Will was terrible at music, I'm going to tell him, you can't be that. I know you might want to be, but it's not your skill set. I never encourage my children to do something if they didn't have a talent for it. But just loving them unconditionally and knowing that you are always going to be there no matter what.
Very important.
Well, we're starting to get signs that we're getting low on time. So I know we have to have people that keep us in line, because between the three of us, we could do this for a while. So one of our favorite questions is, you've seen a lot of performers, but what was your most memorable concert?
I did not go to a lot of concerts growing up. So when I married John, he was working for Target, and they would give us tickets to concerts. The first concert they gave us tickets to was Tina Turner.
Oh.
What are you talking about?
I was so excited, and you talk about loving clothes and everything. I was like, I've got, because somebody's going to notice me in the crowd here at this. No, they're not. Anyway, that was just one of the most awe-inspiring things I had seen in my life, just not getting to go see artists and seeing someone that is just a world-class talent, and you never dreamed of being that close. And we weren't that close, but I was in the same building.
You were in the building with Tina Turner.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
So that was insane. I'll never forget that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we do want to thank you for being here with us today. We look at you as the real music mama on the move, because you are always there moving and supporting Will in every way possible. And it's wonderful to see as inspiration to us.
Yeah, you do. You inspire us every day. We love you, and we thank you for that. We want to use our platform to encourage and inspire. And so we couldn't think of a better person to help inspire people to just follow their dreams and keep it rocking, man.
Well,
that's what we're
likewise
doing.
to y'all for showing the love you have. And I appreciate it so much that y'all support my boy.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely. So we'd like to say special thanks to John Will James Jr. for writing and performing our theme song. Our sponsor episode today is from the Zorba Lounge. To Andre McCullough at Article Media for our sound design, and our amazing manager, Jamaica, at 24K Enterprises. Thank you, and keep rocking.
See you next time, guys.